just the frames. Got keys to the kingdom, unlocking chains. Sober the podcast, open up your brains. Sober the podcast, let's get it, man.
Welcome back to another episode of Sober the Podcast with your host, Bradley Saxon. And we are back at it with Mr. Woody Dantzler today to pick back up where we left off. You ain't even got to shoot your three-pointer yet, you know?
Yes,
second episode. But, man, you've had me on the edge of my seat this whole time. But it's funny. I'll say this before we continue in the story is it's funny how this was intended for me and the listeners to hear your story, but how your presence and what you've said has refreshed CJ and I concerning some of the recent mishappings that we've had. Because in the nature of what we do, there is a lot of hard love, and then there could be a lot of heartbreak.
It's messy.
And it's messy. But some of the things that you said that you wouldn't even know you said has really ministered to me today that has taken away a fear that I probably woke up with this morning.
Yeah, me too.
You know, and just being reminded of things I've known for 20 years. Just to be reminded of, that's really just helped me get back to a place of just being like, you know?
Yeah.
And so I love when God's involved with something because it's so much more than what we think it is.
Right.
You know, and while we do love to hear Woody's story, and the world does too, we also know that God is present, and I'm thankful for your life because in this moment it's ministered to mine and CJ's. I speak for him, but we share a lot of our battles, and so we really do appreciate that.
Yeah.
But the thing about what you mentioned is when we come into the fold, which is the kingdom of God, our story becomes his story becomes our story, because remember, he predestined us. So he already wrote our story for his glory. Yeah. So essentially through our life, we're telling the story of God.
Yeah. Well, and you know, today you've just really helped bring us back down to that perspective, you know? And I love that. I love for me, I love to be brought back down to size. You know, I love for, you know, the word to deflate my ego. You know, I'm a kind of cat that daily needs to be reminded, you know? Right. So that's awesome. So where are we at? 1999?
1999.
Yep,
You meet Jesus.
Yes.
It's real. Now I can't, my memory ain't the greatest, but I would imagine Tommy Bowden was a man of God because I know his daddy was.
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, even Bobby led Mark Rick to the Lord.
Did he? Right.
I think so. I think I heard a story
That's a testament. I hadn't heard
Bobby
that
led Mark Rick to the Lord. So I would imagine Tommy came from those roots.
Yes.
So we left off with, you had this conversion story, and so then we all had to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
Which is really common in what we do, especially when God gets involved and we get to going and time becomes something that we're not paying attention to. So let's pick up there.
Yeah.
So what you spent 4 years at Clemson, so what did that look like?
That looked like, that's a great question. What did that look like? It looked like the journey to sanctification. You know, fast at times, slow at other times, going backwards at other times. So like any other life, you're just living it
day by day.
So you're a reflection of the information you take in and process and actually make active in your life. So that's what it was about for me, just learning God, understanding God. Even here, like, just for some extra stuff, I recently went back to school to get my master's in biblical and theological studies. Because not to go be a pastor, I need to know God more.
Yes.
And so to learn him from an intellectual level, that on that level, that's what I wanted to do. And if he does something else with it, then he does something else with it. But I figured the more of God I have, the more of me he can use for his glory.
Love that.
But yeah, that's what that was like. That my time after 1999 was all about growing in Christ.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And football was just something you did while you were there.
Yeah.
But you loved it.
No.
Didn't love it.
I almost say I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Did it come easy to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the workouts that you potentially could have seen people like, God, that no trouble.
No trouble. I mean, even to such an extent, there's another story I like to tell. To such an extent, one summer, because I always prided myself on being the best conditioned athlete on this hill, I say now my out of shape is most people's in shape.
Mm-hmm.
So the conditioning was just too easy for me. And that goes back to high school. My high school coach, we didn't really have a weight room. We had a bench and we had a dip bar. But we ran and we ran and we ran and we ran and we ran. So I never got tired. Never, ever got tired.
Yeah.
So getting to Clemson is like these guys are now dependent on me. And one thing we need to realize as individuals, so many times we'll be okay with the status quo. So I'm making my
The
time.
bar.
Yeah.
That's the bar. That's the standard bar that's set. So I'm making my times. I'm always in the front of the pack. You know, I rarely was second when we did sprints or any run. I was rarely in the back. I was always in the front, if not the first person. However, you get that thing of, you know what? I have more. So I need to go get that more, because the more I get, the more I can pull my teammates along with, and the more I'm there for them. So I have after one workout, I tell my coach, I said, John Sisk at the time, I said, hey, this is too easy. What else can we do? I need, because I got more. It's too easy. What else can we do? He said, okay, let me go home, think about it, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. He comes back the next day, and with our conditioning now, whether we're doing 40s, whether we're doing 300s, whether we're doing 110s, what he did was he said, well, there are going to be 2 whistles. I'll blow the whistle, everybody runs, and then I blow the next whistle, that's your whistle. And I'm still expected to catch everyone and make my times. So that's how I pushed myself to the next level, because, again, just because it looks like I'm in the front, if I got more to give and I'm not giving it for my team, I'm doing them a disservice. And that's the thing with the gospel as well. If I got more to give, when Jesus died on the cross, he didn't die at 70% or 65, not even 95. 100% of Jesus died on that cross. So if I say I love him, then why is my life not a reflective of 100% given to him? Again, with the caveat, understanding that as men, as women, as humans, we make mistakes, but still, it's the heart posture. You know, they said David was a man after God's own heart. God said that about David. And we know what David did, but still, he was a man after God's own heart.
Quick to repent.
Yes, it's our heart posture. So if I'm truly giving 100%, you know, that's what it looks like. I'm always striving. Either you get, my high school coach, Tommy Brown, told me this, either you're getting better or you're getting worse. You don't stay the same.
No middle of the road.
Yeah, a lot of people like to just try to coast on life, and you can't coast. As long as you coast, people start passing you.
Yeah. I love that story of David, because if you look at Saul never did the things David did.
No.
You never hear of Saul cheat on his wife or getting his best friend killed. Like, he was, you know, pretty much through it all, none of that. But the difference between David and Saul was David obeyed. And when it came for Saul to give everything, he wouldn't do it. And so I realized that's what I thought about when you said that, is because a lot of times in giving that you going to make mistakes, but you can't be scared to make mistakes in risking going to that level of excellence, because many people stay in that sea of vanilla, that mediocrity, because of potentially maybe being scared to fail.
One is comfortable.
Yeah,
it's comfortable.
Yeah, comfort.
I wanted to ask you something, Woody. So when you came in for Brandon Streeter, it was 4th or 5th game of that season. Am I right? 4th or 5th game of that season.
North Carolina.
So you come in during the game. So obviously it's on the fly. You come in, take over, y'all win the game, right? Well, you started after that every game. Was there a shift in pressure or a shift in the weight you felt that you toted as the quarterback of a major university at that? Was there anything you felt internally that shifted from that week to that next week, where now it might happen, I'm the backup, to where now, like, it's on me and I got to go into this week and it's on me?
Yeah, of course. That was a big shift. You know, you always have that little uneasiness of, if he goes down, I got to go in.
Yeah.
But now it's really on me. So the pressure necessarily didn't come from outside.
Gotcha.
The pressure came from me.
Yeah.
I was the one putting that pressure on me. Again, those insecurities. Can I
Yeah.
go out? Even in that game, I remember coming into that game, and because let's call it what it is. I wasn't proven yet.
Yeah.
You know, I've done come in as did some mop up duty, but I wasn't proven yet. So when I stepped in that game, they wasn't calling all the plays.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember at halftime, you know, coming out of halftime, they said, "Look, either we gonna sink or swim. We opening up the playbook. It's time to we gonna find out what you about."
Yeah.
And then we was able to come back and win that game. And surprisingly enough, I got my first rushing and passing touchdown in college in that game.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things of preparing. But what I love about Brandon, he was a coach. I mean, his dad was a coach. So, I mean, he was right there every step of the way.
Yeah.
And he's another example of for me, just the resilience that he had. Because let's do a quick synopsis of that year, 1999 for Brandon Streeter. Spring ball, he dislocates his ankle. He comes back. In that North Carolina game, he fractures his collarbone. Comes back again. Georgia Tech game, dislocates his hip. And still comes back and plays in the bowl game.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
yeah, that's my. I love telling that Brandon story because again, you talk about being there for your teammates. He was right there on the side. I come to the sideline after I talk to coach, and hey, I'm seeing this, and this. Make sure you do this. Think about this, and just being there. And the biggest cheerleader you can ever find. I mean, one of my biggest cheerleaders. And
Yeah,
I
I
love
love
that. Yeah.
And you've seen that over the years with Clemson. There's been a lot of switching of quarterbacks, but to have that guy go down and, hey, man, you next one up. Like, this is a team.
Yeah.
Like, this ain't about me.
Right.
What we going to do to win?
Right.
That's huge. And obviously he loves the game because, I mean, through last year he been helping with the quarterbacks at Clemson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the best. Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. I'm not sure if he was there when Deshaun was there.
Yep.
He was. So, I mean, he's coached some of the best quarterbacks that we've seen come through Clemson. But did that change everything, though?
What's that?
Going in and taking that starting position? Or was you just still
I was still me.
Still me.
I was still me, yeah. That didn't change because, again, I wasn't that. You never, out of my mouth never came, a lot of these kids nowadays, even back then, people would say, you know what, my goal, I'm going to the NFL. I wasn't thinking.
You
about
didn't
going
even
to
think
NFL.
about that.
I wasn't that far along. I was still, maybe, what am I eating for dinner tonight?
Yeah.
Am I going to the cafe? Am I
Yeah.
going to cook? That was me. I wasn't
Yeah.
that far down the road.
Yeah.
But no, it's just the bond, the relationships that I had with these guys. This whole thing that God put in me. I can't let people down. I can't let my teammates down. I can't let my parents down. So it's just this push to be greater. And now that I'm in the kingdom, I can't let my God down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest thing for me. I did not want people to know that I was a believer and look at me and say, because most people don't have a real problem with God. Any mistrust or misunderstanding of God is because the people that represent him.
Yeah.
And that's where they get their lens from. So when they see someone who claims to be a believer and they see you doing or acting outside of what's the God character, they attribute that to God and they don't want anything to do with
That's
God.
right.
And that's the problem. So
Yeah.
that's the mantle I took on. It's like, you know what, I got to do.
Want to reflect him.
Yeah.
In everything you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think the principal idea of, even if you considered him being the backup quarterback having to go in, is just this idea of downtime as prep time.
Yeah.
Like, you don't go into that game having to prepare then. It was too late.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything you do up until that juncture
Yes.
is what is preparing you for that. And it's the same thing in our walk with Jesus, is downtime is prep time.
Yeah.
And we don't know when that evil day is going to come where Satan's going to try to tempt us or our flesh is going to try to pull us away. And so staying spiritually fit through prayer and through wanting to know more about God, like those are the things that allow us to be able to withstand temptation
Right.
when it comes. And that's why I feel like some days I tell my guys, we can't afford to take any day off.
Yeah.
No.
Because we don't know what today holds, but I need to be ready
Yep.
for
like-
whatever may come.
That's the story of the 10 virgins. And you talk about them, and the guy that Lois comes back, and then the door opens and they're like, "Come on in," and they have oil for their lamps. The other 5 don't have
have
oil.
any.
Oh, let me get some of your oil. No, you can't get in on my oil. You got to have your own.
You gotta have your own.
And if I give you we don't have enough. No. So that whole thing is talking about being prepared for the return of the Father.
Yeah.
So they were prepared. They had their oil.
Yeah.
They had their word.
But by that time, it's too late.
Yeah, if you try to prepare in the moment, you're right. It is too late. That's why
it's too late.
What's the saying? How the saying go? If you don't plan something, you plan to fail.
Yes,
Yep.
I've used that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
yes, I do know,
Yeah.
but I can't get it out either.
Can't get it out right now. but
If you, what is it? If you don't plan, you plan to fail, something like that. I get it. Yeah, that's the truth.
So what I'm hearing though, as a theme of this, which I don't know if it's normal or if it's not normal, because your college days and my college days are absolutely polar opposites, and so what I'm hearing though is that you really was able to be present, saturate, and enjoy your experience while you were there.
Yeah, that goes back to getting ready to go to Clemson, having a talk with my dad, and he says to me, "Don't go up there and be just a football player."
That's big.
Well, I mean, look,
That's
man, there's
big.
not a lot. I mean,
That's
I'm not
big.
saying that there's not any other kids, like, that love Jesus and football's an addition. But I'm saying to have that is fantastic because, let's be honest, man, not everybody ends up becoming a league player.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But like CJ found his identity in basketball.
Yeah.
Well, when he got to college and ended up partying and starting to use drugs and lost his scholarship, I mean, heck of a basketball player. Who knows what could have happened? But he wrapped his identity up in, basketball.
Yeah,
and when that got taken away, he coped with that void with drugs.
Yep.
Right.
You know? So I think this being in college and, man, because there's a lot to be said about a college student who loves Jesus that is playing football but has something greater to live for.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kids today that live for football.
Yeah.
Their sport.
Their sport. It's who.
Exactly.
When you think of who they are, that's who they are.
Yeah.
I'm a football player.
Yeah.
So much, and I remember vividly that was something I fought against. I've learned to embrace it, but there was a time in my life where I fought against it so much that, you go out, people see you, and all they want to do is talk about football. They want to ask you about this.
Yeah.
And it was aggravating for me.
Yeah.
And I don't have a poker face. And I don't even try to have a poker
Yeah.
face. So you're going to see it on my face,
Yeah.
I remember one time at my I think it was my sister. Was it my sister or my uncle? But anyway, I was at a funeral. And it was my aunt, my dad's sister. It was at her funeral. And one of my cousins asked me to autograph her the obituary. And I'm like, really, lady?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Again, I don't have a poker face. I looked at her and I walked off. I said, no. I walked off.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going to.
Yeah.
God, I like
It's
really.
amazing.
But and even you sitting in a restaurant, you and your family, or you hanging out, I don't mean to interrupt, but
Yeah. Yeah.
They
you
do mean to interrupt.
You do mean to interrupt. You
Yeah.
couldn't wait. I was going to try to wait to eat your meal or whatever. But yeah, but now I've learned to embrace, because again, talking about the platform that God set up for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used football. He used
And
football.
that's sometimes a lot of what sometimes gets your foot in the door with people.
Yes, they know Woody Dantzler, the football player, but then once they come in to see or hear or meet Woody Dantzler, they meet God.
That's right. God,
Well, and I'm going to tell you now that that's been great for me with you, of always knowing Woody Dantzler, the football player, but wanting to know, like, when did you meet Jesus? Because I don't know when our paths crossed. Somewhere along the lines, we just ended up becoming friends on social media.
Yeah.
But the thing that attracted me to you was not football at this time. Because at 12, 13, 14, 15, when I'm watching you play football, like,
Right.
or later on in my teenage years, watch you play football, like, I mean, football.
Yeah.
But, now that I'm on a different lens, when I was seeing you on Facebook talking about Jesus, like, that's the cat I want to know, you know? And so that's what a lot of people don't understand when it comes to gifting is that you love what my gifting can do for you. You don't love me because you don't know me.
You don't know me.
And this is a side that I would never know if it wasn't for Jesus sitting down talking about it. And that's why I tell people all the time, like that ain't who he is. That's what he does. That's what he's gifted to do. But there's probably something way more precious than the football player.
Yeah.
And obviously, we've spent the last hour and a couple episodes with Woody, and it's evident that football was something you did great, but that ain't the best part of Woody Dantzler.
Not at all.
God is.
Exactly. Even transitioning from college into the league, because I remember coming into the league. I'm not in the league, coming into college, and I had a few different offers because being shorter, being an athlete, they want to move your position, and I was adamant. I am a quarterback.
Yeah.
I had that Lamar Jackson thing before Lamar Jackson stood on it. A lot of us stood on that. I am a quarterback coming out because they want to change us. I remember having one of the schools. I'm not gonna name them, but they left a message on my answer machine. Hey, we like you at quarterback, but we want to try you at DB.
That's two totally different positions.
Yeah. So obviously didn't give them a call back or. But again, 1999, my mindset shifted. Now it became about the gospel, and then I actually learned I had played in the East-West All-Star game, and I came back and I played quarterback in that game, and I was preparing for the Senior Bowl. And I learned a week before the Senior Bowl that they had me coming and playing the Senior Bowl as a running back. And it was through an agent who was recruiting me to come join their firm. And I was like, man, what? So I had to figure out what I was going to do. And then I ended up reaching out to another agent that I knew through, again, Rick Stockstill, this whole relationship thing. And then I signed on with him, and then we began to discuss it. And it was like, what are you going to do? Are you going to go? Are you going to try to stay? And it's like, you know what? This thing is bigger than me. It's not about me standing my ground as a quarterback. It's about me building this platform. So, all right, let's switch it.
Yeah.
So I switched to running back. I had a week to prepare, trying to learn how to catch kickoffs and punts and taking handoffs and, go down there and did well at the Senior Bowl and ended up signing a free agent contract with the Dallas Cowboys. And it's just one of those things of just once you step on the field, one of my prayers has always been, right before the game. Elijah's my favorite figure in the Bible. Love Elijah.
Yeah.
I've taken a couple of those so-called personality biblical. Who is your biblical person? And always turns back at Elijah.
Yeah.
But the thing about Elijah, again, guess who else he struggles with insecurities?
Till he was under a tree wanting God to take his life.
He take his life because
after
one woman
he just did the greatest victory in history.
That was my life on repeat from week to week. Good game, oh God. Good game, oh God. So now I'm in. Think about this. He said your gifts will make room for you and put them before great people. So I'm sitting in these rooms with the likes of Emmitt Smith and the Darren Woodson. Getting to meet Quincy Carter, who's one of my best friends now. And matter of fact, I need to get y'all connected with Quincy Carter because he has that story of addiction.
Yeah.
And now he's doing great. He's right there in Atlanta.
That's awesome.
So I need to get y'all
that'd be
connected
fantastic.
He's on a tear right now speaking to people who struggle with addiction.
That's amazing.
So but to be able to be in these rooms with these individuals and build these relationships, and now I got that star on my helmet, and later on I got that falcon on my helmet. And now people are recognizing these things, and they come for that. But again, that's God building the platform.
Yeah.
And now I'm able to go back and do chapel service with the Falcons and working
that's amazing.
and different things like that. So, I mean, it's just one of those things of I will make your name great. I can't make my name great. Let's let God do that.
Yeah,
for me.
that's true.
So now people know Woody Dantzler. People know who that is. So, I mean, and I'm able, like you said, it opens doors.
Yeah.
He opens doors no man can shut. He closes doors no man can open. So that's what he was doing for me. And I allowed that transition, and I was able to, again, continue to build my platform. And now I'm really getting into the work of what I've been called to do.
Yeah, which is minister.
Yeah.
Do you believe that, is your ministry wooden pieces, right?
Yes.
Is it tailored towards a specific audience, or what does that look like? What is wooden pieces?
So that's crazy you ask that question because I actually just posted a video yesterday about describing wooden pieces. And I tell the story about how growing up, sitting at the table, we ate together. And my dad and I having this conversation, and he says, experience is the best teacher, right? And we've heard that.
Yeah.
We believe that. And we like to walk in that. So we want to experience everything. And he's like, no, experience is a good teacher. The best teacher is other people's experiences.
Yeah.
So, and then he's sitting there. He points at the stove. He said, you see that stove over there? If I go over there and I burn my hand on the stove, you don't have to go over there and touch the stove to know that it's hot. You know from my experience that it's hot. Yeah. So now you don't touch it. Yeah. And you were just talking about that earlier. So essentially, wooden pieces is me sharing pieces of my life, hopefully in the vein to help people along their journey of life and not make some of the same mistakes, or learn from the wisdom that I've gained from other people as well, apply it to their life, and then, grow on their own journey. So that's what wooden pieces is about.
I love that. Yeah. We often say, let our pain be your wisdom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because we don't feel like our proteges should really mimic our path.
No.
They should be able to avoid some landmines because of, like you said, the pieces of our life we're willing to share with them.
Yeah.
Man.
One of the things I wanted to ask you, just obviously in the vein of the audience that we're always talking to, have you ever had, because addiction, alcoholism seems to affect every human in some aspect, even people who don't partake in that particular affliction. Have you ever had anybody close to you or friends in college or, that you saw that when they started this path of filling the void with drugs and alcohol, parties, women, that it just kind of...
Well, I just mentioned one. Quincy was one.
You mentioned that. It reminded me of that question.
Yeah, but I remember my uncle struggled with alcoholism. Yeah. He ended up dying from liver cirrhosis because of the excess alcohol drinking. Yeah. Again, seeing people walking me down the street, but in my family, there was a couple that struggled with addiction.
Yeah. Somehow it touches.
Yeah,
it's gonna touch
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for the audience, if they wanted Woody Dantzler to come and share parts of his life, which is what you've given your life to, which is what you just said you feel is the calling that God has on your life, what would they do?
That's pretty simple. I'm on social media platforms. You can find me on Facebook. You find me on Instagram. You can find me what's that thing called? TikTok. Twitter. So I'm located on all those different ones, but probably one of the easiest and quickest ways to get to me, because I don't always scroll a lot, or I'll see.
I'm the same way. I'll post, but I don't do a lot of scrolling.
Yeah, I need to look, and sometimes I'll see the little bar on my messages up there, and I'm getting better now because I feel I've been corrected. So I'm doing better at clicking that message and responding. But one of the ways is just shoot me an email, info@dantzler3.com, and that's just info@dantzlerii.com.
And that's anything, schools.
Yeah, that's schools,
small churches, any of those things.
Yes.
Well, I think before we conclude, I want to ask you this. 2001, you were top Heisman candidate.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. So I know what I feel about it, but I mean, you were one of the top two leading candidates for the Heisman Trophy winner. Obviously, I feel that you got robbed. But I mean, I would imagine, was this something that broke your heart?
No.
It was just, man, I'm doing this, and how am I getting even involved in some of this stuff? Like,
I couldn't care less about it.
That's so good to hear.
It was one of those that I remember.
So you wasn't disappointed?
No.
That's amazing.
No, I don't care. I'm one of those people who my pleasure is in the journey, is in the preparation. I understand, even in sports, even in my job, if I do the necessary work, the accolades will follow. But then on top of that, I understand that it's not just me. That's why, if you notice, when they pushed me for the Heisman, because I really wasn't on board. So I thought that I could kind of. I said, if y'all gonna push for the Heisman, you got to include my offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it was Team Dantzler for Heisman, and you see the placard.
love that.
You see my offensive lineman on
Yep.
because it's not just me, and I'm gonna pull this in because again, it's all about the team, and they know what. 2001 coming to that final game against Duke, and I needed a certain amount of yards to do the 1,000. And I was just out there playing. I wasn't even thinking about it. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. And I remember, I think it's probably around the second quarter, Kyle walks up to me and said, listen, I know what kind of guy you are. You're not about accolades. It's not about, he said, but this is a mark that's going to be, it's the first time it's ever done. And this is going to be a great thing for all of us. So we're going to get this mark. We're going to get it for you. And I'm looking in his eyes. Kyle Young, he's my center. We came in together.
Yeah.
And, you know, Will's kind of standing over there chuckling. Will Merritt, another going on good friend. So that whole, and I'm sitting here like, wow. All right, that's what you say. Let's go do it. And ended up, you know, I think it was third quarter, maybe early fourth quarter, making that run down the sideline and getting the mark going over 1,000 yards because I was already over 2,000.
Passing.
And who was the first person there? I want to say it was Cal or was it TJ? I don't know who. I can't remember but I got a picture of it. As soon as I turn around, you think about I just sprinted down the field. It was probably about 30-something yards. And I turn around and I got an offensive lineman in my face giving me a hug.
Yeah.
And it was just
That's the special.
That's the moment
special
you
part.
think about, and it's just like just getting those. And now Clemson is a big thing, but that's why for me it was Team Dantzler for Heisman because there's no way I am able to accomplish what I'm able to accomplish without my teammates.
Yeah. Well, it just speaks to the character of Woody Dantzler.
Yeah.
And who he is. And he's more than a football player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he's a man that loves God, but he's a man that cares about his people, fights for his people. That's been the theme of everything you've said, is that there are people that this ripple effect,
Right.
that what I do affects others. And I'm going to live my life selfless. And I'm going to know that everything I do could benefit others in positive or negative ways. And that's just been the theme of your story that I feel like I've heard over and over, is that I'm living for something bigger than me.
Yeah.
And then ultimately when you meet Jesus, you find that this is what I'm created to do, which has always been about living for something way bigger than me, you know?
Yeah. And that's the fun part for me.
Yeah.
Is to be able to again this common thread of the gospel has us sitting down on a couch, different walks of life, but still we have that common thread that binds us together. When I was at Clemson, that bond that I had with my teammates was football. It's that universal language. The gospel is a universal language.
Yeah.
And even though we can communicate it differently, at its core, it is still a life being given for another life. So when you think about it, that's what the gospel is. Something that I could not do on my own. I can't. I couldn't redeem myself. I could not save myself on my own. Jesus had to step in and die for me. So once we get that message and we embrace it and we begin to develop it, we realize there's some people in certain stages of their life that they cannot get out on their own. And I can look down on them. I can talk about them. I can halfway help them. I can but until I say, you know what, this is not about me. God brought this person across my path for a reason. So either I'm the one to help him or her, or I know who needs to step in and help him or her. Yeah. And that's what it's about. The gospel is about a life for a life.
Yeah, that's good. I love that because I think we're all products. Even these men that we don't see on the camera are products of that too, you know? Well, dang, Woody. Thank you for coming through. And, you know, I think it's funny because we are people who normally would not mix. Yeah. But because of the gospel, there exists a friendliness and a fellowship that's indescribably wonderful. And, you know, who would have thought? I would have never thought that the path that I'm on now would allow me to experience the things that I'm experiencing today. Otherwise, I would have never been able to experience what I am today without Jesus.
Yeah.
You know?
And you just made me think of another point. You know, going back to that story of my daddy telling me not to go up there and be just a football player.
Mm-hmm.
Even that statement and me listening to my father prepare me for the different doors that I will walk through. Because you think about, I'm from Orangeburg, South Carolina. Went to Orangeburg Wilkinson, OW. We joke around and say OW stood for one white, predominantly black.
Yeah.
Shifting from that to Clemson University, where the black population is probably 2%.
Yeah.
You know, if that,
Yeah.
3%, maybe it's low.
Yeah.
And being able to go and meet different people from different walks of life. So, yes, I had to go to study hall. Yes, I had to go to practice. But you know what? I had friends in the engineering. My degree, I was in the business school. So my degree was in marketing. But I knew people in the biology department.
Yeah.
I knew professors. I knew provost. I know different people in different areas. Engineering department. You know, I was a part of student council. I was part of multicultural affairs. I was meeting these different people from different walks of life, different countries, different cultures.
Yeah.
So now, me being able to be me and learn and know how to interact with different people from different backgrounds prepare me to walk in any room with any group of people, relate, and coexist. And let me take that, not coexist, but be able to relate and be able to talk to, and interact with.
Yeah.
Because of my dad telling me, don't go in just because it's easy to, I can be comfortable, like you mentioned, I can be comfortable in this football area. But what happens when I get in the marketplace? If I'm walking in Ingles or Food Lion or Walmart and God said, hey, you need to go say something to this person. You need to help. I don't know them. I don't know how to talk. No, I've been prepared.
Yeah.
And I'm following your lead. Just like when he told the disciples, he sent them out 2 by 2. He said, go. If they won't receive you, then, you know, shake the dust off your feet, keep moving. But don't take nothing with you. Just go.
Yeah.
And they went to different people, different walks of life, and created impact.
Yeah. So let's conclude it with this. I had this thought. I don't know where it came from. But I do believe that success in one area of our life doesn't always equal success in another. Right? There are some things in my life that came naturally. Football for you naturally. Yeah, you worked, no problem. But talent is something you can't teach, you know?
Right.
What is that thing after you got saved? Because you're talking about having to be in different rooms, talking to different people. What is that thing that didn't come natural to Woody that you needed to have to work at to get better? Can you think of it? Like for me, I believe everybody has this dominant weakness. And for me, I like to sharpen all my strengths, potentially some of my weaknesses away.
Yeah.
But one of my dominant weaknesses, I'm very impulsive. In other words, I want to get it done right now. I don't got a plan. We don't have anything in place, but let's get it done. And, you know, I've noticed that and as I lead, it's something that I have to consciously and intentionally work on. What is that for Woody Dantzler?
I would say for me, maybe... I would say probably assertiveness. I'm such an easygoing kind of guy. I'm always looking for the balance, but sometimes you got to draw a line in the sand, and you got to pick up your sword, and you got to fight, and you got to be able to say, you know, no, I will not stand for this.
That's that lying. That lion. So
I can be that lion. I'm always that lion. You know, I can walk into a room in my presence. I can because it's a presence that God has given me, and I have that.
Yeah.
But there are times when I'll even say it. I've shrinked in the face of what's that word called? Confrontation. When I needed to be more assertive. Yeah. And instead of being more assertive, I'm trying to level the field and make sure everyone comes out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
When it comes to it, it's almost like thinking about when Jesus is in the house teaching, and his mom comes, his brothers come, and they say, you know, tell Jesus to come outside when you talk to him. You tell your family's out here. Who's my mother? Who's my brother?
Yeah.
That resilience he had.
No, this I need to. I'm sorry if you get offended, but honestly, this is what it is. Yeah. Now, I have that when I'm in front of an audience and I'm speaking and God's Spirit is doing this thing, especially when I'm talking about the gospel. I have that boldness.
Yes.
But I need to take that same boldness. So let's say, in example, we out at the store, we out with my family, and something happens, you know, I got to be that protector for my wife and my kids. And now I'm trying to rationalize, well, maybe they didn't really mean it that way, or they didn't. No, that was disrespectful, and you don't need to let that fly.
Yeah.
Because again, everything happens either because I caused it or I allowed it.
Yeah.
Because when God came to the garden, he said, Adam, where are you? He didn't ask where Eve was.
Nah, he told you, Adam.
He set the precedent. So I'm a firm believer that every issue that exists today is because man is out of place.
Yeah. I love that.
And going back to Dr. Evans, when he said, you think about it this way, if your man's driving the car and he decides to take his hands off the wheel, the woman in the passenger side is going to reach over and grab the wheel. But the crazy thing is, we as the man, we see our wife on the passenger side, out of position, driving the car.
Yep.
We just sit back.
Yeah.
We don't take the wheel back. We let her do it. She's out of position. This is tough for her.
Yeah.
Can she do it? Can she keep the car on the road? Yes. She's more than capable. But she's out of position.
But it's not God's function.
It's not her function. She's the one that's supposed to, like you said, it's not her function.
Yeah.
And we sit back and we let it happen. So now you see the whole shift in society now with what things are, how they're labeling things, because man will sit back and I think with some group, they call it, rejecting passivity. And that's what we've been, a passive group of individuals.
Yeah.
Either we've been passive or we've been over the top.
Yeah.
And we have to allow God, because sometimes we need to be over the top.
Sure.
But only way that we're over the top, or so-called over the top, it has to be through the leading of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. Yep.
It has to be through that, because if it's not governed by Him, then we're in self and we're in a problem.
Yeah.
Or we're going to cause a problem.
Yeah.
So, but for me, that's what it is. Just that assertive gene, not in preaching the gospel or teaching or mentoring. When I'm in that, it's other aspects of life where I need to be more assertive.
Yeah.
That's been
and I think that's a word for us all men to wage war on passivity.
Yeah.
I mean, I picked that up somewhere along the lines myself, and it's amazing how bold I could be in front of people preaching, and then when it comes to with my son, let me get that phone.
Yeah.
Because I'm checking that thing. You know, to not just overlook it because it's uncomfortable, and I love that, Woody. I love you coming and sharing with us. Three-pointer?
Three-pointer time.
Okay, I mean, I'm going to rebound.
You're going to rebound.
But hopefully I ain't going to have to, because you're going to hit the bottom of the net.
That's the hope.
Are you going to record this, John? Okay.
Oh, gosh.
Do you need to be ready, or are you ready? Okay.
He's
you
ready.
get 3 chances because you got all 3 right.
Oh, okay. I got 3. Oh, so 1 for each one, so I don't need. Oh, that was off. Okay. My shirt got in the way. All right, let's move this. And you over there.
Hey, let's go. No trouble.
He's the first one.
No trouble.
He's the first one. You got one more. Let's see if you can do 2 in a row.
Oh, gosh. Nope. That came off wrong.
Woody, thank you so much for coming and joining us on Sober the Podcast. Guys, Woody Dantzler.
Yes, sir.
Till
Thank you.
next time.
Right.
Shoo.